अग्नि ध्वजा अब कमर बांध तैयार हो लख कोटि भाइयों अब कमर बांध तैयार हो लख कोटि भाइयों हम भूख से मरने वाले क्या मौत से डरने वाले हम भूख से मरने वाले क्या मौत से डरने वाले आजादी का डंका बजाओ उठा अग्नि ध्वजा वंदे योद्धे विशेष पुकार आती है बारंबार हो तैयार मजदूर होशियार हो किसान होशियार मजदूर होशियार हो किसान होशियार हम बुज़दिलों से हार कभी नहीं करेंगे स्वीकार होशियार 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 होशियार।
This movement of the international meetings has come a long way since it began as the initiative of the Communist Party of Greece way back in 1998. And this has been seen the accretion of many parties from many countries and many parts joining this process, and it has set in motion a sort of a regrouping of the international communist movement. As has been our practice, we are assembled here today to discuss a specific theme, and that theme that has been chosen by the working group for this occasion is the international capitalist crisis, the workers and the people's struggles, the alternatives, and the role of the communist and workers' parties. The international global capitalist crisis and recession, we have clarified in our last meeting in Sao Paulo, is not the result of any aberration in the capitalist system, like greed of few individuals or lack of regulations or regulatory mechanisms. This crisis and recession is inherent to the integral laws of capitalist development itself. It is a systemic crisis, a crisis that reflects the fundamental contradiction of capitalism, a contradiction between the social nature of production and the individual nature of capitalist appropriation. It is this fundamental contradiction that has resulted in the present crisis, and it clearly shows the historical limitations of capitalism and the necessity to overthrow the system if we need to achieve complete human liberation. But as Marxists, as all of us have known and know today, whatever be the intensity of the crisis, capitalism does not collapse automatically. Capitalism requires to be overthrown, and it is only the political alternative which is capable of overthrowing capitalism. Until that alternative becomes strong enough, capitalism will emerge from every crisis, and as Marx had taught us, many a time it emerges stronger at the expense of further intensifying exploitation on the people. And it is that political alternative, the strengthening of which is central to our discussions today, and that is the central theme on which we will have to deliberate in the coming 2 days and come to some joint conclusions on the basis of which we can act in a more unified manner at the global scale. But central to the understanding of this present crisis is an evaluation or assessment of imperialism in contemporary times, or what we could call contemporary imperialism in the present phase. Lenin had told all of us and taught all of us that imperialism is the last stage, final stage of capitalism. It is the eve of the socialist revolution. That is completely and absolutely correct. But every stage in a historical period has different phases. While imperialism remains the final stage, the eve of the socialist revolution, it passes through different phases. And the phases that it is passing through is determined, on the one hand, by the levels of capital accumulation that take place under capitalism, and on the other hand, the political conjuncture in which imperialism is operating at that point of time. These two factors put together define the character and the working of imperialism in any phase. Like, for instance, in the immediate post-Second World period, where you had the rise of the socialist alternative, you had the decolonization process, where you had the attraction of the socialist ideas amongst the people, growing in leaps and bounds and in a fast way. Imperialism then adapted to the situation through the demand management policies of John Maynard Keynes, the Keynesian economics, the evolution of the welfare state, that capital was prepared to share a part of its profits in order to meet the threat of growing socialist consciousness among the people. This phase of imperialism ended with the collapse of the Soviet Union and the demise of the East European countries. And from then onwards, as all of us independently in our own party congresses and programs have evaluated, that the balance of forces in the world shifted in favor of imperialism, and that permitted it to enter a new stage of greater offensiveness. And that is the stage in which we are in today. And in that particular stage in which we are in today, we notice the levels of accumulation of capital have reached unprecedented levels in the history of capitalism. You have the emergence of international finance capital as a phenomenon where it is no longer confined, as Lenin had said in that phase, no longer confined to any one single nation state. Or as Lenin had said, it is capital owned by the banks but employed by industry. Today's international finance capital is international in character, instantly mobile, and it is no longer diverged from production but is enmeshed with production. So you have a stage where the accumulation of capital has reached such levels, and all of us know gigantic levels. In the recent crisis, it has been estimated that the entire financial transactions in the world have grown to the tune of being at least 10 times larger than the real GDP of the world. In fact, some estimates have put it, some of the other economists have put it in much greater volumes. But you had such a gigantic growth of this capital, which in itself created a situation of a new world ordering, where the flow of capital cannot be hindered. No nation state is allowed to put any restrictions on the movement of this capital. And that process of capital's aggressiveness in its quest for pursuit of profit has also led to a situation whereby there has been an intensified exploitation of the workers and the peoples in the developed world itself, and of the workers and peoples in the other parts of the world which are developing world. You had a process of intensified exploitation. Now this feature is also based on and must also be seen with another aspect, and that is the fundamental fact that no capitalist economy can survive without a wealth-owning medium. And that wealth-owning medium, the currency of a country earlier backed by the gold standard, later no longer backed by the gold standard, but the de facto being as good as gold, that country currency in which the wealth of the capitalist system as a whole is held is the currency of the most powerful country of the capitalist system.